So behind me is Cairo, everyone. Just so you know, I wanted to do a video last week with the boys with the pyramids behind me, but we couldn't align it. So
Uh,
sadly, you're back in Cairo, which is in itself, as you can kind of see, a massive decaying Tartarian empire. One of the biggest, actually. It's way bigger than Melbourne. It's a big, big
mm,
old Tartarian empire for sure. But yeah, you travel these countries and you go through and like there is no connection to the shit that we see. Like there is no connection. They're not talking about it. The weather's not doing anything. There's no friggin' drones or orbs or like there's no funky like things cities burning down. Like it's not concentrated on this area at all. They literally all their focus may be on the conflict beside them, next
yeah.
door in their neighbor countries. But like honestly, this life just goes on and on and on without having any connection to this, deceptive underbelly of reality. It's just not
Mm,
present at all. And you think, okay, well, we are in literally a bubble in the West.
Yeah.
We've got our own intranet going on around
mm,
us,
yeah. yeah. We
There's
found
no
out the
way.
same thing last year when we went traveling. No one
Yep.
in other countries knew they didn't care.
So it's just really interesting. I mean, like we were in Luxor the other day and it hasn't rained for 17 years. And life
God.
goes on and on as normal. The kids are, there's poverty everywhere. People are just, haggling for they're haggling for £100, which is like $1 or something. It's like life just looks like it hasn't changed for eons
Mm,
here in these spaces. But we're in the West, it's like everything's sped up, all the information or the content or
yeah.
the effectiveness or the breaking it down. Like you could never make an income coming out of Egypt on these topics.
Do you
Like,
think they're restricted then there? Do you think what
oh,
the information they get is restricted?
yeah, I mean, like the every single guide we have, because you need guides to do all of this stuff.
Mm,
Like every single guide we've had has gone to a 2-year diploma. You can't be a guide in Egypt without going through this 2-year government diploma, and you get a license at the end of it. And in those 2 years, you are programmed to talk about exactly what the government
mm.
talks. So many times on the trip, our individual guides, of course, because I'm asking a million questions, obviously.
Yeah, I bet.
Um,
Yeah.
and so many times they're saying, I can't talk about that. I can't talk about that. I'll lose my license. I
Oh,
can't
wow.
like some random thing like I mentioned like the use of machinery to like the use of machine and technology and this energy that they had to do all of this, and like we can't talk about that. We'll lose our license. There was a hieroglyphic and it looked like it had the internet symbol on it, and he was like, we can't talk about that. And I was like, wow, so you've actually been given a list of topics you can't talk about with the tourists. And they're like, absolutely, we'll immediately lose our license. And even when we were out of the pyramid or out of the temple, back in the hotel or somewhere completely out of it, they still would not talk about it because it's so ingrained in them that they will lose their license. So yes, history here has been completely programmed and it's completely controlled
Yep.
by the government. Yeah.
That
And of
is a
course,
loss, man. Jeez.
if they lose their license, they lose their income. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it's got economic control as well because of the
Mm.
poverty.
Well, I
So
suppose
they're in
that's
a
similar to
bubble.
what the doctors were having to do during the pandemic. A lot of
Yeah.
them knew that they weren't doing the right thing, but were going to be struck off if they said anything. So I guess
Yeah.
it's just totally controlled, isn't it?
Yeah. I
Mm.
did see the oldest mirrors, ironically, after our last
Wow.
conversation in the Cairo Museum. There's the oldest mirrors that they've found, and they look like mirrors, but they're like obsidian, like it's like polished
Yeah.
obsidian.
Obsidian. Yep.
And in that same museum is the Benben stone or a Benben stone, which was really interesting. And even then, the guy was like, this material doesn't come from Earth. It's a meteor. It came to Earth as a meteor, and it's the hardest material, and you can't. And it's got full of hieroglyphics on it. And they're like, we don't know how they cut this rock. We don't know how that's done, but we're not allowed to talk about it. All I can tell you, it has been determined it was from a meteor. But I mean, it's trippy to go and see the Benben stone. That's like
Mm.
that's a like a coveted object within
Yeah.
the true community, huh? And I mean, I don't remember count. Is there more than one?
Well, don't is it? What's oh no, the one in England's the Stone of Scone, isn't it? Is that right? The one that they sit
The
on for the
stone
coronation.
stone.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I think some people might call that the Ben Stone, but yeah, I don't know. As far as I knew, there was only one. I haven't done a lot of research, but what's his name? God's Flammy. Rare
I
Earthman
love
like
his
mentions
crazy
it a
mind.
lot. Yeah.
And did you see today that yesterday on Sky News they announced that the moon has become a protected endangered heritage site? They've listed the moon as a protected endangered heritage site.
Oh, I
And
can't
there's
believe that. So we can't go camping there now.
they can't go camping anymore. It's protected.
Oh,
Yep. And this
oh no.
stupid like chick from Melbourne, like some university expert, was like, yeah, and well, like in 20 years' time, all the relics in the moon will be just like destroyed by all the visitors. So it's really important that we protect the moon. It's the first thing we've ever listed on the heritage listing that's in outer space. And I was like, oh my God, this just sounds so retarded. I cannot believe this is
Mm.
what's so, yeah, I mean, crazy shit, right? But you can see how that would link to, say, Elon and Trump's
Yeah,
plan.
it's part of the
Yeah.
narrative, right? It's part of the space invasion,
Mm.
narrative. They definitely look like they're building up to that. There's everything's space and disclosure. Even oh, what's his name? That annoying dude. Stephen Greer came out
Oh yeah.
2 days ago and said in 72 hours we're getting full disclosure. It's all going to come out. I think that's today, but I mean, I think he says that every 3 or 4 years, doesn't he? But they're definitely building up to something. Oh, and there was another story come out about these Air Force people who are saying they've seen a UFO that got retrieved, like this egg shape UFO. Looks very much like Mork and Mindy, I've got to tell you. It's a very similar story.
Nanu, nanu. Shazbot.
But there's all these things coming out, and they're getting on the news now, right? And they've
Yeah,
had the congressional hearings just before everything showed up in the sky. It's like it's playing out like a narrative for sure.
yep, agreed. So which means that some unexpected shit's going to happen soon.